Third day of May 2024. We are coming to you live from Kenya's capital. We've got quite an engaging 28. So, how do we address period poverty across the country? Period shaming is one of the biggest issues that is affecting young girls, or at least persons menstruating, as well as period poverty, lack of proper menstrual facilities, lack of proper sanitation facilities, as well as lack of clean water. And so my guest is already in studio, who will be joining us in just a bit. That is Bathsheba Elizabeth Otuga, who's the founding director of Ahadi Reusable Pads. And so she will be joining us for this conversation that starts in just a few minutes. If you've got any feedback that you'd love to ask, our question, our SMS line is 23059, as well as watch us across our social media platforms on EBN TV. However, let's get started with the day's top stories. State visit of a kind for Kenya. President William Ruto makes history as President Joe Biden hosts him at White House. Junior secondary school intern teachers adamant on strike, with government pledging to hire them on permanent and pensionable terms next year. And tonight on our conversation, addressing period poverty. Are reusable pads the future of menstrual health and hygiene? Well, my name is Cynthia Nanjala. Let me get you started. It was a joyous occasion on Thursday as Presidents Joe Biden and President William Ruto arrived at White House. The first to arrive was Ruto and his wife, and they were then followed by Biden and his delegation. Now, the two greeted the government officials before standing at the podium. The anthems were played as delegates stood. The two were then ushered to inspect the Guard of Honor. They marched across the lawn in sync with the tune played by soldiers. And as they moved out, Ruto shook Biden, who also greeted his daughters.
We stand at an inflection point in history where the decisions we make now will determine the course of our future for decades to come. Today, I'm as optimistic and hopeful as I was those years ago when Kenya patriots raised that new flag high in the midnight sky. Because Kenya and the United States stand together, committed to each other, committed to our people, and committed to building a better world, one of greater opportunity, dignity, security, and liberty for all Americans, for all Kenyans. God bless our partnership, and may God bless our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That by undertaking this state visit, we will have the opportunity to discuss and to have a conversation about building global partnership and leadership around the issues that pose challenges regionally, globally, and in countries like Kenya and many others. Challenges of climate change, challenges of insecurity, challenges around debt distress. And today we have an occasion to build synergies, to build partnerships that will not only solve our current problems, but also to build a future that is much more promising, much more prosperous, a fairer, a freer, a healthier, and a much more prosperous future. I am confident Mr. President, that a partnership between the United States of America and Kenya will give us the solutions that the world so seriously needs. And we will be discussing a range of issues from peace and security in our region, recognizing the heavy lifting Kenya is doing in supporting peace and security efforts in the Horn of Africa, in the Great Lakes region. And I want to say, Mr. President, we value the support, the friendship, and the collaboration the United States has given Kenya and our region to make sure that we undertake our responsibilities in securing our region. The opportunity for access to markets so that we can create more jobs, we can create more wealth, and we can spread prosperity across our continent. And hopefully also we will conclude on our strategic partnership, on our strategic trade and investment partnership that will give us the opportunity in Kenya to work with companies in the United States and to build greater synergy around our continent on matters to do with trade, investment, especially as we put together the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and twin it with the United States, as we discussed at the Africa Leaders Summit last year, giving us an opportunity to build greater partnership between the continent of Africa and the United States.
Now, President William Ruto will return home from his high-profile visit to the United States of America with a bag of overflowing goodies worth billions of shillings. Ruto and his host, President Joe Biden, signed multiple deals spanning different governmental and private sectors. Now, when Ruto returns home this weekend, he will be landing with a bag full of goodies worth 52 billion shillings. That is approximately $395.15 million. And there are sums of money from commitments that the U.S. State Departments and agencies have made to Kenya to support various development projects. Now, nearly 5.3 billion shillings, approximately $40 million, has been allocated to Kenya for democracy, human rights, and governance, and another 93 million shillings, about $700,000, to support the operationalization of the Public Benefits Organization Act. Now, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, announced an additional 173 million shillings for the Youth Empowerment Program, aimed at strengthening political engagements at the sub-national level, and 80 million shillings to advance disability inclusion. America also intends to support Kenya's anti-corruption efforts with 66 million shillings for a new fiscal integrity program and another 66 million shillings to broaden the reach and effectiveness of anti-corruption advocacy. The U.S. also announced a new 929 million shillings partnership to advance and strengthen the modernization and professionalization of Kenya's National Police Service. The U.S. will also support the Kenyan education sector by providing 66 million to support the development of Kenyan students, scientists, researchers, and engineers. Now, in a powerful symbol of the close relations between the U.S. and Kenya, President Joe Biden has announced his intention to designate Kenya as a non-NATO ally. The historic move by Biden marks a significant milestone, as Kenya will become the first sub-Saharan African nation to receive the status. It also underlines the critical role Kenya plays towards peace and stability in the East African region. The White House said this designation is granted by the U.S. to countries with which it maintains close and strategic military and defense relationships. NATO, which stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, currently has 32 member countries called NATO allies. They are sovereign states that come together to discuss political and security issues and make collective decisions by consensus. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has rolled out an extensive school census that was launched by the Principal Secretary for State Department for Basic Education, Belio Kipsang. The main objective of the 2024 school census, according to this KNBS, is to provide up-to-date information regarding basic learning institutions. The field data collection exercise will be undertaken for a period of 50 days in all schools in the country.
Unless we deal with issues of equity, then we may not be able to get the type of society that we require. We need to appreciate every of our own citizens so that as we go forward, those who merit and cannot afford to be able to progress will be supported by government to progress. And for us to do that, then we need to know the numbers. And those who merit and can be able to deal with themselves, then we shall be knowing what numbers are those ones, and therefore they can progress to deal with issues that they deal with. So the benefits of these census are very vast. With the information collected, we will be able to plan more effectively, we shall be able to allocate resources more efficiently, and we shall be able to monitor and evaluate our educational programs with greater precision. This means better facilities, more targeted teacher training, improved curriculum development, all aimed at fostering conducive learning environment for our students. So this census is not just a government initiative, it is a collective effort that requires active participation of all stakeholders. I call upon my colleagues in our schools, the administrators, teachers, parents, students to cooperate fully in this very important exercise.
Still on the education sector, the government plans to put 26,000 JSS intern teachers on permanent and pensionable status in the next financial year starting from June 2024. However, intern teachers insist that the strike is still on. Holding demonstrations at the Teacher Service Commission headquarters in Nairobi, the interns have decried that the government is trying to threaten them by giving them show cause letters, even as they say they are willing to strike for as long as possible.
Ningeweza kuambia TSC kwamba they have the mandate to employers. Kwa nini tunaona wale ambao hawana mandate ya kufanya kazi yao wakifanya?
As JSS teachers tuko na kiapo ambacho ni kiapo cha umoja na kiapo kwamba hatutarudi shule tena unless serikali inatupatia kitu tunaita PNP.
Tumekuwa katika maandamano kutoka siku ya Jumatatu last week. This is the second week that we are on roads, and we have not received any response from the government or the Teacher Service Commission ambao ndio waajiri wetu. Tumependa kusema hivi, sisi hatuko tayari kurudi shule kama walimu hatapewa kazi ya kudumu ama kama watakuwa confirmed and compensated.
Sisi tumekuwa tukiambiwa mkikataa kwenda tunawafuta. Haturudi shule. Hatufanyi nini? Hatuajiri vile muliahidi. Miezi 12 imeshapita na imeshai.
In Teacher Service Commission, we would want to make sure that learning is taking. And we are assuring our intern teachers, if they check in our budget for the next financial year, we have provided for their confirmation, because from day one we said they arrived where they were going to. They need to, this is just like I said of the journey, this one is also another journey. They just need to be sure intern teachers are not the only teachers who teach. There are other teachers. There are teachers that we upgraded. There are teachers that are in the process. They are part of that critical cog. But I can assure you that there is learning, there is disruption, yes. But I can tell you that we have backup systems and our children are learning.
All right, so at that point, allow us to take a break. When we come back, we'll be getting into the interview for tonight, addressing period poverty. It is Menstrual Health Hygiene Month of 2024, that is May, even as we are gearing up for the Menstrual Health Day on May 28th. What are some of the measures we need to put up in place to address period poverty, as well as on sustainability? What is the future? Are reusable pads the future? Well, that conversation returns in a bit. Our SMS line is open to 3059. The hashtag on X is hashtag EBN Prime. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Are you? EBN TV cares about the growth of your business. To advertise with us, call 0725 386 501 or 0740 653 453. EBN TV, transforming your world.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get this conversation started addressing period poverty. My guest is here with me in studio, who's the founding director of Ahadi Reusable Pads, that is Bathsheba Elizabeth Otuga, who is in studio with us this evening. Thank you for joining us, Bathsheba.
Welcome.
Right now, in just a few days, we'll be marking, a Menstrual Health Day. That is May 28th, with the theme of Together for a Period-Friendly World.
Yeah.
What does this theme mean, especially for advocates like you, who talk about menstrual health hygiene a lot?
Okay, this is very great. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
This is great because there's a lot that can't happen if women are not offered an opportunity to be able to take care of their menstruation. So because of this, every year we celebrate the International Menstrual Hygiene Day, and this year's theme, as you have heard, is Together we want to make a friendly world, because women have been discriminated for something that is natural and they have no control of.
Yeah.
So we are getting into this so that we make menstruation common or normal, as we had the theme for last year. So we are escalating it to make it friendly to everyone now.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
So this is a very, it's a topic that is intimate, and that is why a lot of times people have not conversed about it, and it has led many women to be left behind, because at the time of their period they either hide, they don't have what to use. Those who know how to use, some of them have not been taught, they have had nothing until the day that their period starts. So as we advocate, then there are a lot of issues that we deal with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ahadi Reusable Pads, why reusable? Because sounds like the future may demand that we go on a reusable way rather than a disposable way, because if you look at the prices of the disposable pads and just how it has been on a rise. So why reusable? How did you get into this space?
Okay, I'll start by how I got into this space. When I was young, I grew up in Eastlands, by the way. So there are times when I couldn't have pads, not because my parents could not afford, but because of the shame of asking for pads. Nobody taught me or told me about menstruation. You just discover that this is it. And so me, when I went to the bathroom, I just left my things there and I went out to play. So later on, I found that I was not able to afford the pads the way I should. And I started to make some makeshift pads from clean clothes. And later on, when I found that I needed to do something to give back to the society, I experimented and came up with the pad that we have. So we've kept on improving until now we have something that is marketable. Yes.
Right. So with these pads, obviously the difference comes with the fact that it can be reused. But in terms of material, what is in it that is not on the disposable one? Okay.
Reusability in this case means that they are washable. The other name for reusable is washable. So these pads are washable because they are made of cloth.
Yeah.
The top material is a soft fleece material. We can either have it as a mixed cotton and synthetic fiber, or a very high quality synthetic fiber, which is soft, absorbent, easy to wash, and easy to dry. So all the materials here, we have the top, which is in purple and white, meaning purity and royalty. The back is a lining to make it complete, finished product. Then in the middle, we have an absorbent fabric, which is a made material that is cotton and absorbs. Then beneath it, we have the waterproof material also, which is also comfortable. So we came up together with this and made a pad which can be locked underneath the panty in the contour of the body. I realized that when I was young also, if you didn't have panties, then you can't use pads. But with these ones, you can just lock them. And the other ones also challenge women and girls to use. But this is very comfortable and easy to place. And then after you've used it, you can be able to now fold it up nicely. Very carefully, you fold it in and lock in the moisture, so that once it is locked, it will not dry. If it is dried, then chances for staining become more. But when it is wet, you just put it in a water and submerge it, the blood will ooze out and you're able to wash. Very easy to wash. You just squeeze it out, rinse out the water that is red, and then now you wash it again with soap, even if it is a bar soap or Omo. Then you hang it out. You press out and hang in the sun. The sun will sanitize it, making it hygienic, so you're able to use it again. So immediately you get your pack. We pack them in 4s in this bag, which is also waterproof, and we call it a wet bag. What you fold it, you can use. So basically you find that a woman is able to use about 3 in a day. So when they're using the night one, they can wash the other 3 and they will dry.
Right.
If you're very heavy, then you need more of the pads. Yes.
Let me talk about the demand, because it sounds like with this type of sanitary towels, which are the reusable, there's a lot more on education on how to use it, you know, with persons who are menstruating. Is there demand for these products of the reusable pads? And if you look at, you know, the period poverty we are talking about, you know, where there's no water, there's less sanitation facilities, then, you know, not enough health infrastructures in the country. Does this solve that problem?
This solves the problem because period poverty is lack of access and affordability of a sanitary solution. So you find that 65% of girls and women, not only in Kenya but globally, cannot afford sanitary protection because of costs. And so you find that though Kenya is a bit ahead, we're still lagging behind. Because we find 1.8 million girls would be affected for not going back to school because they don't have pads. For 5 days, they stay at home and menstruate. So I came up with this solution which is affordable, in that a woman can be able to use a pad for 2 years and more at the cost of only 500 shillings. The other alternatives are cheaper to access, but you find that the girls still cannot afford 50 bob. So we partner with organizations for us to empower women with girls, with the pads. So you find that despite the fact that they cannot afford those ones, these ones are affordable to partners who are able to buy pads from us and distribute. And that's why we're having our walk, which will be upcoming this Saturday. We'll talk about it. And so you find that these ones are also environmentally friendly. Despite the fact that they are washable, we teach and train the women to wash with less water and to keep their hygiene so that they can engage in their social activities, they can stay in school, they can go to work, and so the lot of women can improve their status and they can be able to break through the vicious circle of poverty because they'll be able to finish school, they will access jobs, and then an educated woman will definitely educate her children. So this breaks the vicious circle of poverty. Period poverty is also brought by poverty in itself. So the period poverty escalates the poverty. And so if we are able to intervene and mitigate the poverty, then we find that economic status of women will rise. Eventually, everybody else will rise. Yes.
You know, where the biggest branch lays at as well is on sensitization and education as well to the communities. Not just the persons that are menstruating, but also to the communities. That includes both gender. Now we'll get to what the men or the boys' role is, but on sensitization, how do you ensure that effective sensitization in such a way that if you're able to tell a person that is menstruating today that this is what you're supposed to be doing, they're still able to pick that and do that even in 2 months or in 3 months or even for a lifetime. So how do you ensure that effective sensitization, especially in the reusable products, because you say it solves the period poverty problem?
Yes. We do a lot of sensitization because when I first started, I thought that it was going to be easy because there's need, demand and supply. But I found that it doesn't work because of people not knowing about the product, lack of knowledge that the product is available, and lack of assessing. So we changed during Corona. I raised some money and I went to the village just next to us here in Kiambio, and I was distributing the pads. But before that, we used to have those menstrual health outreaches where we taught the girls on using the pads, we went to the school and told them that this is a solution for our girls, and so you should not shame them because it is something they have no control about. A man was asking recently, we need to engage the men. A man asked, now, why can't you stop that bleeding until later? It's like going to have a short call.
Yeah.
So they don't know that this is a process that has come. So through education and through engaging them, maybe in chiefs barajas, in some church organizations, in schools basically, then they will come to know. And then there's that gap of the old school kind of, where taboos were so much.
Yeah.
But now with the new education system, we will start training them about menstruation right from the beginning, because it will be brought to their level if we start talking about reproduction. So in reproduction, we can't leave out menstruation and the reproductive health. So that is how we will make a generation rise up to know that it is their responsibility to protect these ones who will become their wives, who are their sisters, and who are the colleagues that you're working with. So let's say something happens to you and you have a oops moment in the office, then these people should not like bring shame on me kind of a thing. They will just know, you're okay to just do something, and you'll be able to just be comfortable, go and change, do whatever you need to do, and continue with your work, because it is normal.
Will we be able in future to deal with societal norms and societal cultures and taboos? Because if you walk to interior parts of northeastern, if you walk to interior parts of some of the coastal areas, if you walk to interior parts of even the northern part of Kenya, this is something that, you know, it do not mention it in this household. And there are still girls that use clothes, there are still girls that use animal skin. And so how do we get a message to those people in those kind of areas who still have a problem and are still glued to their cultural beliefs?
I'll start by giving an example. I was in Kakuma, and there are Somali women and refugees. So we were going to have, I was going to train on pad making, and there was a path we were going to pass through, and there were some women clad in buibui, and the driver was telling me, don't pass near those women, they are smelling. So I told them no. We decided to come out because also we wanted to explore the country, and we passed through them. They were not exactly smelling, but that is the stigmatized. Women are stigmatized in those areas simply because they cannot deal with the issue of blood. And so we need to do more education, like have radio programs, go out in the community and talk about menstruation, tell them it's normal and it's a gift from God. If we bring that as a gift, because menstruation, there's no reproduction. When there's no reproduction, a generation, or there's no, you know, I can't even say what it is, but you understand. So we just need to go out there. I've started in my small way. Once we are walking, we'll have a football match to attract people to come. Then once they have come, then we will go into the hall and we will be talking about menstruation. I believe a lot of men will come, and so we will tell them about this thing. We demystify, we make it common, so that they know that this is like, I mean, you can just see a cuckoo going and doing poo-poo outside. Do you really call people about it?
No,
so in our natural things, they should know that it is just like that. Those are animals, but we are humans. We should be treated with dignity and given the respect that deserves. We are mothers and we are the big sisters. And so we need to tell the community these things should also be inculcated in our education system so that nobody is left out, especially for the young ones who are coming. The other ones will face them out eventually because they are rigid in their ways. Among the Meru, we cannot even talk about going for a short call, leave alone menstruation, because those are called women things. In the coast, you find the women, they are told to stay outside. They sit on a hole, so they menstruate. What I didn't know is that what do they do at night when they had been sitting in the sand the whole day? Because they'll be eaten by animals, basically. So a lot of education and creation of awareness is required.
This gender of the boy child, the men and the boys, they themselves, are they aware of how critical of a role they can play in terms of addressing period poverty? Because if you're going to have a room where you're having that conversation and somebody walks in and sees no man, they will think, oh, this is a girl issue, I need to step out. How much of a role are they playing in this particular issue, and they themselves are they aware of what they're supposed to be doing?
Men are particularly not aware, but there is an awareness creation that is going on
the men now.
On the men. I have met men who know that we have different types of menstrual products. I have met men who don't know. So we try and do something that is called inclusivity, where we bring everybody on board. Those who are already so like ingrained culturally will not come, and there's nothing we will do about them. You walk into an office, you introduce yourself, you say you're doing this, apana mama, let me call for you some other women. But there are those who will come out and embrace you and help. In fact, the people who are in my board are men, and they're influential. So as we continue to march on, it will come a time, like I have said, it's a generational thing. In the schools, they will just embrace. In one school I went and the boys were laughing when we started because of inclusivity. We used to remove them. Then they started, hey, I told them, how many of you would like to become fathers in future? All. And how many would like to become mothers? Then there is the reproduction system that you will not respect them because they're your wives. Know what to do because they're your wives. Yes.
All right, so let's speak about the upcoming, before we get to your event, let's speak about the upcoming Day of Menstrual Health Day, which is on May 28th. Essentially, what should people be doing in that day? You know, should they be doing more sensitizations in the community? What sort of mood and attitude should there be in the country?
Okay, first of all, I would say that 28th is 28th because normally the cycle is about 28 days.
Wow.
5th, 5 days of menstruation. So people don't know why it is May 25th.
Interesting,
May is the 5th month, and a menstrual cycle is normally 28 days. We have plus and minus. So the world has things that they like. There's the social change that we have. And this menstrual poverty is not only in Kenya, it's a worldwide. So we have many organizations that are in this movement, and so we had that day. So that this day is totally committed to celebrate the menstrual health and management of women. And so many different organizations are doing different things. I will say Ahadi Reusable Pads is organizing a walk. And our walk, the theme of our walk is putting a period to period poverty. Because period poverty messes us up. So we are doing a walk, and we will have a football match, and then we will have a talk. A 30-minute talk where we'll just ask questions, enjoy ourselves, say this one is doing this and the other. So different organizations are doing different things. Yes.
All right. So you know, can be so challenging putting up this kind of event because, you know, as you've said, this is such an intimate issue. And you might walk across some streets and people, you know, will be wondering what are they even doing. So in terms of reception, have you ever been in a position where you've received, you know, a reception that you didn't expect? Perhaps people are not really opening up, people are not really willing to have this conversation, they're not willing to join you. How do you deal with that?
So far, so good. The people who are not receptive, maybe they're in offices. But when you go to the villages, in the kijijis, in the rural areas, they are asking, Mama, si ukuje, come and talk to our girls. Come and give us pads. Come and do this and the other for us, which we have no capacity to maintain. But in our work, as we create awareness, we expect and hope that people seeing me will want to partner. And if they want to partner with us, then there are things that we can do together, because in menstrual health poverty, a lot of other things crop up, like gender violence. When you don't have pads, you want to go and borrow pads or get engaged in things that like transactional sex. Then that is where other communities will come, other organizations will come, so that we chart a way forward on how to move as a community and even as an organization. This is not a profit-making organization. We are a social enterprise. So we reach out to meet the needs of the people. Like in this work, a few people have come on board, mostly my friends in a circle, the outer circle of now friends of my friends, and a few organizations. There are a few organizations that have come in. There's one particular organization that has said they'll buy shots for the girls. They will provide for us water, and so on. You have partnered with us, as in you brought me here to talk, so that people can see and say, I want to join. I want to come in. I was thinking of this. And so that is how we roll
Yeah.
to tackle this issue of poverty.
Right.
Yes.
So if you could give us the timelines of, what will be happening on that day, where the event will start from to where it will end to, that will do good.
Okay, the event will start in Uhuru Estate Sports Complex. It is in Eastlands. So from Uhuru Complex, we will move to an estate called Jerusalem. It is about 200 meters. From Jerusalem, we will move to a place we call KANU office in Jericho. That's another 10 minutes. From Jericho KANU office, we will go to Jericho Nambasaba stage, then to Uhuru Junction, and then back to the field. This should take not more than 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, the girls will be in the field, they'll be practicing. Immediately we get to the field, then we will have a match. This is called an exhibition match. The two teams will be fighting for a trophy, but both of them are winners, because this is just for us to create awareness and to build us up, to break the ice, so that we can sit and talk about the menstruation. Then after that, we will talk about menstruation for 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll have been finished. We have a few people who have donated pads that we will give to the girls, and after that we will take contacts, and then we'll continue with the conversations,
Right.
visiting the schools, reaching the unschooled girls, talking about teen pregnancies, because that is also becoming a pandemic. And so I think everybody is welcome to come and participate.
Right. So final word is we wind it up on accessibility. How can people access reusable products? Because if you walk into, I did an experiment really for the purpose of this conversation. I walked into a supermarket, went to that particular shelf just to see whether I'm able to find a reusable pad, and I didn't find it. And which brings me now to the question of how can we make this kind of sanitary towels accessible, such that I really don't have to struggle. Where can I find one? Where can I find one? So how do we increase that accessibility?
Through
as we
social
wind it
media,
up?
basically, and through contact with me. I know there are a few other organizations that sell, but we do it on media. And then our target market are the girls who cannot afford, and the women, because we want to address some of the SDGs like health, education, poverty. We want to address this thing of equality. So we will work with organizations who are already on the ground, and we will put them in the supermarket at a later point if we finish our registrations.
Okay.
And then we can be contacted on our social media and on our telephone number.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Bathsheba Elizabeth Otuga, who's the founding director of Ahadi Reusable. Okay, so I hope you can hear me loud and clear now. I was just about to wrap it up actually. And my guest in studio has been Bathsheba Otuga. So if you're around the Buruburu area of Nairobi, but also for the larger part of the country, and would love to join this march, kindly I'll be able to get in touch with us. We'll be able to connect you to her so that you can find your purpose in this society and join the march come this Saturday. I wrap it up at that point. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Have yourself a wonderful night ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.